They called it preeclampsia. But that word was too small for what was happening inside of me. Too clinical, too neat, too easy to pronounce for something that turned my pregnancy into an emergency broadcast. My body had become a storm system. Pressure rising, organ straining, warning signs flashing like hazard lights on a highway at midnight. My liver was failing, my kidneys were failing, and somewhere between the monitors, the blood draws, the trembling fear hidden behind medical masks, I realized life could change its mind in a single morning. See, my son was born premature, but don't mistake premature for weak. That boy entered this world strong heartbeat, strong spirit, strong enough to make doctors move faster, strong enough to make me believe for a moment that miracles could breathe. But before he arrived, before the operating room lights, before the emergency C-section, there was the sentence that split me open before surgery ever could. My OB-GYN looked at me with urgency wrapped around every syllable and said, "If we do not act swiftly, you may only have 24 hours left." 24. Not days, not weeks, hours. And suddenly every second felt fragile enough to shatter in my hands. They said they would try to save us both. Try. God, what a terrifying word. Try means outcomes are still negotiating. Try means fear has already entered the room. Try means everybody is moving quickly because death is somewhere nearby, stretching its fingers. I remember lying there thinking, how did my body become a catastrophe while creating someone I loved? Did you know preeclampsia affects approximately 2 to 8% of pregnancies worldwide? Did you know it can rapidly damage organs like the liver and kidneys? Did you know Black women face significantly higher risk of severe maternal complications and death during pregnancy in America? See, nobody tells you that sometimes survival comes wearing hospital bracelets. Nobody tells you that motherhood can arrive holding both joy and terror in the same hand. And after the surgery, after the machines and medications, after the doctors moved fast enough to keep my name from becoming a memory, I blamed myself. Not out loud at first, but quietly. The quiet kind of blame that sits in your chest like shattered glass. I looked at my body differently after that, like it had betrayed me. Like something inside of me was defective. I was ashamed that my pregnancy story did not look soft and glowing like the ones people post online. Ashamed that when people asked what happened, I could not bring myself to tell the whole truth. So I learned how to make trauma smaller. He just came early. There were complications. I had an emergency C-section, general explanations, because saying my liver and kidneys were failing made it too real. Saying the doctors told me I had 24 hours to live felt like reopening the incision with my bare hands. So instead, I swallowed the details whole and carried them alone. And for a long time, I stopped trusting my body. How do you trust something that almost slipped away from you? How do you stand in the mirror without searching for warning signs? I questioned everything. Every ache, every headache, every flutter beneath my skin. I became hyper aware of my own breathing, as if my body and I were no longer speaking the same language. But healing arrived slowly. Not like fireworks, not like a movie ending. Healing arrived like morning light. Like cracking through blinds, gentle, gradual, persistent. I started learning that preeclampsia is not caused by weakness, not failure, not some moral flaw hiding in my bloodstream. It is a life-threatening medical condition, and suddenly I began to look at my body differently. Because maybe my body was not failing me. Maybe my body was sounding every alarm it could. Maybe those symptoms, the swelling, the pressure, the pain were not betrayals. Maybe they were warnings. Maybe my body fought like hell to keep me alive long enough for doctors to intervene. Maybe this scar across my stomach is not proof that my body broke. Maybe it's the proof that my body endured. And now, when I touch the scar across my stomach, I no longer ask it why it could not make my story easier. I thank it for telling the truth, because my body did not stay silent while danger was unfolding inside of me. It signaled, it warned, it fought to be heard. And I think about all the parents who carry stories like mine, stories whispered in hospital hallways, stories folded into discharge papers, stories that still tremble when someone asks, "So, what happened?" I speak for the ones still learning how to trust themselves again, for the ones who still flinch at the smell of antiseptic, for the ones who still carry guilt where compassion should have been, for the ones grieving what pregnancy took from them, for the ones whose bodies survived while their confidence did not, for the ones who did not get softer stories. And I honor the parents and babies who did not make it home. Because survival should never become a measuring stick for worthiness. And loss is not evidence that somebody failed to fight hard enough. Sometimes the bodies endure unimaginable things. Sometimes medicine cannot reach tragedy in time. Sometimes love exists even when outcomes break our hearts. I know that now. So this is not a victory speech. This is a hand reaching back towards anyone drowning in shame. This is me finally saying, my body was never my enemy. It was carrying fear, pressure, trauma, life, love, and survival all at once. And despite everything, despite the terror, despite the operating room, despite the questions I asked myself in the dark, I am learning to speak to my body with tenderness again. Learning that scars are not apologies, learning that healing is not linear, learning that surviving something terrifying does not require me to hate the skin that carried me through it. So now, instead of asking my body why it struggled, I place my hand over my heart and whisper, "Thank you for trying so hard to keep us here."